It was Miss May.
Yeah, Miss Maine, which is you.
Yeah. She's a lady.
Well, thank you for that introduction. I guess let's get a few of the basic questions out of the way because I know they're going to come. So
Do it.
you already mentioned the one that everyone asked. What's your most favorite moment? Recording or acting or anything like that. So you kind of already covered that, Ellie. But if you have any other specific ones that you really enjoyed doing before we get started, and we'll strike that question from the allowable ones. How about that?
I mean, the allowable ones. That's right. I mean, again, the experiences in storytelling are all just delightful for me. And as Mark said, what a great opportunity we have. Thank you, Lunar. Um, to be able to do what we do in our pajamas in the last 3 years from our home studios. Like the best moments, though, I do have to say, are in ensemble records, which don't happen anymore, unfortunately. And for those who don't know what an ensemble record is, it's when the entire cast is together and they are all recording together. So you get to react off, obviously, what another character is giving to the story, as opposed to being by yourself and just generating the reaction. And I would say that my best moments in studio is when you crack up and lose your mind, and it's usually because somebody else is stimulating bad behavior in the record and farting around, literally farting around. That's Tabitha. So I would say the gassiness of the farting around is what causes for great levity and joy, because it's kind of ridiculous and you're trying to do the job, but spontaneity in creativity, when the body creates its own language, will create just much. I'm like a 10-year-old boy. All you have to do is fart and I'm gone forever. Like I will just laugh and it's over. It's just I can't get it together. So I think a lot of my joy is in those moments when things go cuckoo pants in ensemble records. Now, unless I do it by myself, which, gassiness from me doesn't bring me kind of joy. It's when somebody else does it. You know what I'm saying?
So from the gaseous reporting, Mark, would you say anything on stage or film or any great moments you'd like to recall before we move on to some questions?
They involve laughter. For me, they involve where I lose control, because I feel that we have tamped down on our joy. Children laugh 400 times a day, and we laugh 12 to 15 times a day, usually at the expense of someone else. And I feel that kind of hysterical, when you get hysterical, where you pee your pants and tears run down your face because you're so hysterical. We don't do that anymore because we try to behave. And the institutionalized training we've been through has kind of made us all go, be professional, keep it down, behave yourself, don't lose control of yourself. And I feel like when you lose control of yourself and you can't get it together, it kind of makes you feel more alive because, it's real. And it's that childlike spirit that we have inside of ourselves that gulps for air. And it's liberated, right? It's free. Like we just want to scream with laughter. So that has happened to me more often than I'd like to admit, because of course the stage management and the directors don't like it, because you get it together. What are you doing? You've lost your mind. Stop laughing. And once you open up the gate and really let yourself go, and I urge every pony here to do it every day, laugh until you cry. Gulp for breath and just liberate that hysteria out of yourself, and you'll feel so much better. Which is why I think I love mistakes so much and just doing what's disallowed. And that's the kind of moments where I just lose control, and then the audience knows you're laughing. Like on stage, if you do that, they know you've lost control. It's like, the Lucille Ball, whenever the old-fashioned TV shows, Carol Burnett, where they would lose control and laugh when they're going, and you're trying to do the scene.
Mark,
You're hysterical.
Ellie, I didn't know we were getting a life lesson.
Yeah.
No, it's great advice. It really is. I mean,
Yeah,
the more
it's
we laugh, the more we
laughter.
can smile.
Those moments
Absolutely.
of losing control are the best.
So, Mark, did you have any fun stories that I'm sure people were going to ask you anyway?
Well, I think I mentioned this before. Elf is the gift that keeps on giving to me. Basically changed my career overnight. And the funny thing was that I was supposed to just do one line. I didn't audition for it. They just called me and they said, "Would you do one line with Will Ferrell?" I said, "Yeah." And so I went in and I was just supposed to say work release, 2 words. And then all of a sudden, Will Ferrell and Jon Favreau wanted to play. And before I knew it, Will Ferrell was tickle fighting me, and things are going on and on for 22 hours. And it was a magical day for me because none of that was expected. None of it was scripted. It was all just off the cuff, and it was absolute play. So for me, that was a magic day, a magic 22 hours.
No kidding.
So good.
Thanks, Mark. That was awesome. All right, let's move on to some audience questions. So we're going to have Nathan that's going to just queue up the questions and just make sure that everything's all good. Although, yeah, yes. And so we've got our first one here.
This one's for Mark. Relating to MLP specifically, not your rather extensive portfolio that you had before that. When you were dealing with either the production, the other voice actors or anything, what is your personally most memorable moment from having been, chosen to voice for MLP specifically?
First of all, I was like, I was in shock for a couple of weeks when I got cast. Because I saw all of the people reading for the part, and I didn't think I had a shot. But as I went along, I noticed that he was coming in near the end of certain seasons and the beginning of other seasons, and that was kind of exciting to me because they kind of used, the meat of T-Rex to supercharge the starts or give the finish a bit of a hang, a bit of an edge. And I liked giving edge to that stuff because My Little Pony is a really special milieu. It's a very, really cool kind of thing. But every once in a while, it needs a splash of dark color. And I think that's what I do. So I really enjoyed that, especially the cliffhangers.
I think the dark color is actually what rounds out the series the best. I personally think. Yeah,
I do agree.
Yeah, it's as they said. My Little Pony is not successful for its amazingly over the top rainbowness.
No.
It's successful because it's not all that.
Well, they have to overcome adversity and evil
Yeah.
and darkness, and like we do in life, it's like they've got to work together to somehow overcome that, which is what makes it. So we know those battles, right? We all know those, and I think we relate to that, right?
We've got flaws. However that's what it is. Yeah. We're not flawless. That's what it was. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Next question, sir.
Hi. So I've got a question for Mark specifically. So I'm really curious, how would you play a villain? When you're given a role, how would you go about creating that villain in your head? And then how would you perform that? Because I think that creating a villain is a very specific way to make a show better, as you just said.
Well, for animation, I look very much at the pictures, if there are any, the drawings, and get a sense of the character. It was a real nice juxtapose with T-Rex to be really small and wizened and dark and quiet in the beginning because it made him really kind of ominous. And then when he becomes supersized Pegasus, big muscles, unlike me, very, very robust, then I filled into that because I normally do that. But then the second part is the script. When you can, I mean, I don't memorize all of my lines. I don't. But the opening sequence of me as Lord Tyrrell, I can't get it out of my head. It's like Shakespeare. Is he friend or is he foe? The pony wonders. I can assure you I am no friend. And I could go on, man.
Thank you.
Next question.
I would like to ask, what was your favorite part of this convention so far?
Oh, right now.
Favorite part of this convention, this moment.
Meeting you guys, that was the best part.
Yeah.
That was really the best part. In fact, that's the only part.
Yeah.
There isn't any other part to this that really means anything.
That's
except
why
meeting you
we're
guys.
here, is to share with you. That's it. Yeah, the best part is you.
That's awesome.
Awesome. For sure.
Well, and it's mutual. It's mutual.
Oh.
Honestly.
Yeah, you guys are awesome too, by the way. I just wanted
No,
to say
you
that.
are. No, you. No, you. No, you.
Oh,
no,
no,
you.
we're gonna have a
no,
no
you.
you
No,
battle.
you. No, you.
No, you
no,
are.
you.
No, you
No,
battle
you.
now.
You.
You
You.
are.
Stop.
Come on,
Oh,
you.
stop. No,
you.
stop.
You.
Okay,
You.
stop.
No,
That's not
you.
fair.
Stop. You. No, stop. Oops.
Hello,
Excuse me.
mystery masked man.
I know who you are.
Hello.
Hello.
I have two questions. They're tangentially related. First is for Mark. Actually, is knowing Ellie Ray obviously does, and knowing several other voice actors like Devin Dalton, Bill Newton, Kyle Rideout. Have you ever been tempted to collect merchandise of any of the characters that you've portrayed?
Well, this is for you, isn't it?
That's for you.
It's
No, it's
me?
for you, Mark. I want to know. Have you
Oh,
ever seen some T-Rex stuff and you went, you know what? I'm gonna buy that.
Sorry. Well, I have a number of pieces of art that have been made for me. A couple of paintings, a couple of hand-painted T-shirts, some drawings. I was given a couple here. Ash created a beautiful one of Tyrek. Those are really cool. Shout out! Shout out!
Shout out, Tash.
Yeah.
Shout out, Tash. Yeah, yeah.
There he
Incredible
is.
artist, incredible artist. And
I want one too.
I don't really collect them, but boy, I'm sure glad to get them.
And then for Ellie, it's what's your favorite piece of merchandise for any of the characters you portrayed?
Oh,
that
I
you've
couldn't
gone
possibly
for?
say favorite. Like, I'm a brony. I'm actually not a voice actor. I'm actually a brony. So, if you notice, I go to conventions just because I want to be at the convention, not just because of sometimes I'm here doing this. But for the most part, I'll go to conventions just to hang out and get merchandise and,
And win Brony Feud.
and I'm right. I'm so good. Winner, chicken dinner, pony feud. Okay. No, I feel that I am a collector anyway. I'm a hoarder of all things cute, plush, art, stuff. That as you can tell, I get given so much stuff, which I adore, but I also purchase from the vendors as well because I love the stuff. Like you just go, oh my God, that's so good. Oh my God. Like, I'm wearing jewelry. Like I've got so much, it's ridiculous. Like there are rooms in my house that are just like, forget it. What's happening in here? It's just like, you can't even, there's like, what's happening here? It's like a museum.
Hey Finn, does that sound familiar? Sounds sort of familiar, doesn't it, Finn?
You know how it goes, right? It's the kind of thing where you just go, how much is that plushie? And then you go, how am I going to get it home? I actually have literally 5.5 foot mist mane that is in Europe that I'm trying to get shipped to Canada. And if you saw this plush, it's like nothing I have ever seen in my life. And it's got wired, the body is like hard. It's not soft. You can't like smush it together. It needs to be, it's so huge. And when you boop it, it goes beep. It makes, there's a little beep in the nose of Mist Maid. No, no, me crying when I see. Like this, exactly, like it just goes like this sound. Like you do that and I go, you know, and people are like, what are you going to do with that 5.5 foot thing? Where's it gonna go? You know, that's my life. Hello.
One more comment. That guy that was asking that question, I'd like to go to the bank with you tomorrow. Yeah, just you and me. I just want to see what happens. I just want to see what happens, you know.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, right.
Next question, please.
Hello. I was just wondering, how long did it take either of you to get your first breaks, like to really get in there and get your first break when it comes to voice acting or acting in general? Like, how long did it take you to finally break the Iron Curtain and get in there?
I came out of the womb there. I think
You're
I
just
was
born
acting
on
from the
stage.
minute I screamed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was in public speaking. I was doing public speaking when I was 6 and winning awards with like 16, 17-year-old people. Like, yeah, I was kind of not, I was in a different sort of field. I don't know. Somewhere I was,
awesome.
I think I was performing. Yeah, I think I just came in performing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I went right from high school to theater school. And when I started, there was no film or TV. It was all stage. And so I toured 10 years doing Shakespeare, Ibsen, and Tennessee Williams. And then started to do a bit of film and TV and realized, well, there's a lot more money here. And and did that. And then cartoons came after that. But my whole life acting.
Thank you so
It's
much.
a great
I feel
life.
blessed to meet
Do
you
it.
guys.
Do it. Do it.
Thanks for the question.
Okay.
And next question.
First of all, Ali, you can't have 45 years experience. You're way too young for that.
What? I'm too young for what?
You're too young for your 45 years of experience.
I'm old. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
you're
Where's your
young.
camera? Where's?
Yeah.
I love you. I love you.
Okay.
I love you.
Here's my question for you.
Okay.
When you're recording your lines, have you accidentally did the wrong character?
Oh, that's a good question. When I'm learning, I'll tell you what.
You're doing so many roles at once.
Yeah, well, I honestly, you saw yesterday in the reading, when you're playing multiple characters back to back, which generally you don't do, you'll always record one character first in a series. And if you're playing multiple characters in a series, you never record them back to back. But sometimes you will bleed the energy of a character. So what they have is, and you will make mistakes, right? Yes, where you go, wait a minute, I need to hear the reference. So they'll always have a reference. So if you're playing 3 villains and they might all be a little bit similar, but one might have a little bit of an accent, one may have more gravel or texture to it, but how much? There's varying degrees between characters. They're always different. And if you're I have like yesterday, I was like, wait a minute, this one's got a New York. Oh, please, can we talk? But I was doing that other sort of almost British high status. Oh, darling. So, you'll get like, oh, where's the accent if I'm going back to, switching is hard and you've got to reference yourself to be able to have sort of, I think, a little bit of an ism that helps lock you into it. But oh yeah, I make up mistakes all the time. And I've got to watch saying the F-bomb because, when you're doing preschool shows, you don't want to be saying anything in response to yourself making a mistake. And I don't like making mistakes because it makes me feel like I'm going to get in trouble. So I tend to go, and then I go, and then I try again. And the more you make mistakes, you tend to go down the tunnel of mistake making.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
right? Like once you make a boo-boo, you're like, oh, shoot. You go, let me try that again. well, okay, rented teeth. When you get to, oh, and then it gets, oh, and then you get kind of hysterical, and it's like, oh no, make it stop. I can't stop myself. So yeah, you got to really focus. But at this one in time, I'm so young that it doesn't matter.
I agree.
I love you, and I love your camera, and I love that picture of us.
Thanks, Raindrops. Thanks for being such a big supporter of us. And
Hi,
next question, please.
This is a question for both of you. When you're actually voice acting, do you have any mannerisms you do? It's like, is there anything special you do once you're actually playing a role?
You
Like
know,
any
stand on my head. No,
A warm-up
I can answer
routine?
that.
or-
I have literally used props in my mouth. Like I put things in my mouth to help me change characters. Because if you change your aperture, the character will change too. So people don't think about the lips, the teeth, and the tongue. So I could, you know, if you take the tip of your tongue and you do something different with your tongue, it's going to change your character. You don't think if you you know, and people on stage do that. Like, what's his face put all stuff in his, you know, like he put, gave himself jowls and stuff like that. I have put pillows in my stomach to make myself feel bigger in a character that needs to be more weighted. I have held little props to talk to them, like little baby cute things that I care about, because you got to kind of to establish characters that are real. Remember, you're in the temple, you're in a studio, and you're by yourself. We don't have ensemble anymore. So you've got to create this kind of, your character has to be responding to something. And I like to have images, like Mark said, you get an image of the characters. But when you're sort of there and nobody's with you, you've got to use what you have, but also images to put around you to respond out as well. So that's just me. I don't know if you do that, Mark.
I wear a sweatband, and that's because when I go in there, the director goes, "What? You gonna play tennis or something?" I go, "No, no. There's a fight scene in this," and I'm usually really loud or really low or making a lot of Wallace sounds and stuff like that. So it's like work, you know. And so I usually wear a sweatband, and it's usually wet when I'm finished. Yep.
It's full on hard work. You're not, like, this is the thing. People think, oh, you're just at a microphone chatting. No, it doesn't work like that, because the expression is full on. It's like we're not in neutral. The vehicle, like a lot of voice actors have the key in the ignition and the vehicle is sitting in the driveway running. But like if you listen to commercial work now, it's all kind of, it's kind of flat, it's kind of neutral. And, you know, 40, 50 years ago, there was character driven work, and we've kind of lost that. We're going to an AI vibe now. And you've got to be expressing, you've got to feel, there's got to be a mental, physical, spiritual, intellectual, musical action in the body. And that takes an incredible amount of gymnastics to go through. And I feel that we've kind of lost that over the years, because we've all kind of died inside a little bit, because we're no longer together.
We were recording Hulk versus Wolverine, and I was playing the bad guy, Sabretooth. And there's a one point where Hulk hits me, and I go flying. And the director goes, "No, no, you're really flying. I mean, imagine Hulk has just knocked you into another city, you know, and so you're going to have to fly for a long time." So that's the kind of time when the sweatband comes in real handy.
I know there's certain actors too that they can't even get into a role until they have a physical sort of feeling. Like I met more than a few people. Like for example, Rene Auberjonois from Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
He, before he passed, he said on stage that he wasn't really able to get into the character of Odo without wearing face makeup, because to him, if he wasn't wearing it and didn't feel that on his face, it just didn't feel like the character, and he had trouble actually even making the sound of his voice. So I found that interesting.
Well, it's like on stage, and it's like anything on film and TV. You're in a costume, you have wig, you have, there's, I've worn, you know, fake prosthetics, teeth. I mean, where I look, people are like, you're like a chameleon. You look so different all the time. And it's like, well, you're transforming everything about you to be another character. And ponies. You know, we're not, these are not human beings. They're ponies. So they actually have a whole different way of, you know.
Thanks
So
for the-
yeah,
thanks
good
for the question.
Yeah, thank you. You will be lovely.
Yeah, thank you.
Next question.
Your voices have entertained and helped so many people. Do you ever have that dawn on you?
Do you ever have a what?
Does that ever dawn on you?
Does it ever dawn on you that the voices you've portrayed have really made a strong impact for people?
Well, that's like saying, do you realize what kind of an impact you as an audience have on us? Of course, it's a relationship. So it's a codependent relationship, right? I don't think, I can't speak for Mark, but I don't feel like my voice is doing anything to people. I feel that I'm part of a team, that we all communicate. It's like a requirement. It's response-driven dialogue. It may look like a monologue on the page, but there's never a monologue, because the only reason we open our mouth to speak ever is because of you. So really, it's a dialogue, right?
Yeah, it's like a chemistry set. You know, I mean, when I'm out in the real world, I don't talk like Tyrek. I talk real normal, and I try to be soft and nice and short. But then when I'm with you guys, there's this chemistry that happens. I'm like, I can be, I can have fun again, and I do. And like that guy and I, when we go to the bank tomorrow, that's going to be a hoot. We're going to have a lot of fun on that, So that's the kind of chemistry I'm talking about.
So thank you. Yeah, this is the chemistry right now. It's like the effect that you have on us is, look at what he just said. It's that, right?
Well, actually, related to that question though, have you ever used your voice to kind of get something to happen in the real world?
Oh, sure.
like-
I mean, yeah, like I donate my voice a lot for charity. I do a lot of charity. And your voice, I mean, storytelling is to inspire and uplift. Our job is to ignite, excite, uplift you, hold you, make you feel that you're not alone, that you're heard, and that you have a friend in us. That we have an intimate relationship with you. So, I mean, we use our voices for good, hopefully,
Sometimes.
in the long run, even if we're playing a villain, because the overall story requires villains. I play a lot of villains as well, believe it or not. It requires the villain, and a villain is just a fallen hero anyway. I mean, basically, storytellers are heroes, and then they play many different characters, but it's this relationship, right? Otherwise, what are we doing? We're talking into a vacuum. It's for no reason.
Or sometimes we're bad. I had one part where I had 4 hours of prosthetic makeup put on, and I was getting tested by the director, and they had me being driven down to the set in a limousine with smoke glass windows, and the makeup was on, and we stopped at a light, and a squeegee guy started to come up to the limo. And this is where I feel bad, because it's an uncontrollable urge, it's all there. It's like the ball is sitting on the tee, and you have the golf club there. And so I rolled down the window and I said, "Get away from the car." My last vision of him was he was still frozen. He did not move. The squeegee was in one hand, and he did not move, and we drove away.
Thank you for your work.
Right? Awesome. To shock and amaze, you see? Leave them breathless. Leave them standing breathless.
Next question, please.
Howdy.
Yes, see.
I'm just curious about how hybrid work has been in like the past year for you guys in both VA acting, because I do AV for a tech company, and we've literally been having to write manual for how to do like hybrid work with tech. So I'm curious how.
When you say hybrid,
Like in the studio or versus
Oh,
home.
oh,
I'm
or-
sorry.